Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is time for our January mini release. Yay, it's awesome. So I am using our Mustache dies, our card mat dies, the Black Cat Brewery, Tree Scene, Wood Slices 1 and 2, along with the glasses dies, the Octagon Treat box dies, the Christmas add-ons 2, the word bubble dies, fancy heart dies, mix and match nuts. And I'm also using the brand new stamp set Wild About You. So I went ahead and I put down just a bunch of different names of nuts onto my Misty. And I'm using Altenews inks in Blush, Rouge, Crimson, and Velvet. I'm just sort of like mixing it up, and I'm stamping kind of like an irregular background. Now that is a piece of paper tray ink white cardstock cut out with the card mat dies from Jaded Blossom. And I'm just quickly applying the ink just here and there and just trying to get an overall background. And now I'm taking the word peanut and the lightest color of ink in Blush, and I'm just sort of freehand stamping it all over the background. I'm just sort of going for a quick background using the mix and match nuts stamp set. So now I'm taking that same light ink in Blush, and I'm just going to ink blend with that blender brush around the edge onto a Stampin' Up pad. There we go. Just adding that ink around the edge. And there we go. So easy stuff. Now I've got a piece of Sweet Blush cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches. All my card bases are exactly this, using my Teflon bone folder, Martha Stewart scoreboard. And I'm going to stick my background piece onto this with my ATG tape. But first I cut out that Octagon Treat dies with the Octagon shape in Nina Desert Storm cardstock, and then I ran it through the Cuttlebug folder and animal prints. I believe it's snake skin, but I kind of think it looks like a peanut. And then I used Tea-Dye Distress ink to blend around the edges, just to make it pop a bit. So I'm going to stick down this background with my ATG tape onto my, vertical A2 size card. There we go. I guess someone would call it a portrait. It's kind of my jam, though. That's kind of the one I like the best. And now I am going to stick this little peanut shape in the bottom lower right corner, and I will trim off the overhang. So I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but I think you'll figure it out in just a minute. Just trimming it off with a pair of scissors. And now I've got the Mustache dies. This I cut out of Paper Tray Ink's black cardstock. It's got a little top hat. And I've got the Nuts About You sentiment from that new Wild About You stamp set. And it's cut out with our word bubble die. And I went ahead and I cut out the little monocle with the black cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, along with a little, I don't know what that is, the little chain, same color. And I went ahead and I cut out some acetate, just using the cutout black inside portion as kind of like a guide, so I know how big to make it, and I stuck it down onto that little monocle. And now I'm cutting slivers of 3M foam tape just so I can pop up this monocle. There we go. And I have Doodlebug's Ladybug black shape sprinkles, and I'm adding them on there like little eyes, and I think you see where I'm going with this. This is Mr. Peanut, the Planters peanut guy. At least that's what I was going for. There we go. And I'm going to add on this little string for the monocle with the glossy accents, sticking that down. And I'll trim off the overhang. And then I will add the little mouth. That is from the Christmas add-ons too, just so he's got a little smile. And now I'm going to add on glossy accents to the monocle. I also added onto the string later that I don't believe that's in the video, but I do. And now I'm going on to my second card while that dries. So I pulled out my Wood Slices stamp set from Jaded Blossom 1 and 2, and I'm using my Misty, of course, because you'd want to use a Misty for something like this. And I'm going to stamp it down in the darkest color from Altenews. I believe that is Velvet. And I'm just going to cut out that Would You Be Mine sentiment from using the word bubble dies. And I've got the glasses die. This is the largest glasses die, and I'm applying the darkest color, that velvet ink from Altenews again. Now I'm taking the next color. This is the, oh, you know what? That was crimson. I stamped that in, I believe. Sorry, guys. I stamped it in crimson. Now I'm using rouge to stamp the bark outline. There we go. And then for the center, I'm going to use the blush ink from Altenew. All the inks that I used on these, on this whole, like all 4 cards that I make today, were the Altenew ink set, that blush, rouge, crimson, and velvet. Because I'm kind of going for like a, you know, a Valentine's Day look. Again, that's a paper tray ink white cardstock that I was stamping on. Now I pulled out the XOXO stencil, and I'm using the Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station. And I'm just going to stick that down with some magnets. And I will use the same colors to sort of messy blend a stenciled background. So I've got blush and rouge. And I'm just going to take that same blender brush, going lightest to darkest. That way I don't have to clean my brush in between. And, you know, adding it here and there. There we go. And as you can guess, my this release did not come, like, get here in time. I believe the package that included the last release and this one were lost in the mail. So they will be coming to me, but they did not make it here in time for the release. I will, like I said before, I will do a catch-up video and, you know, show the whole, you know, do a product review and all that stuff like I usually do once it gets here. You know, I'm telling you, the Canadian mail system, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Although I have to say, this is the first time this has ever happened. So I feel terrible for Jaded Blossom because they did send me all those products in plenty of time. But, you know, these things happen. So now there we are. The sentiment is on that same sweet blush cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. And now I'm sticking down the 2 eyes. Those were cut from that Octagon Treat Box Christmas Add-ons 2. There we go, in the black cardstock. Now I'm taking out my Pico Embellisher in the shimmer. And I'm going to apply that to the glasses, just so they've got a nice shine and a bit of a shimmer. Like it'll be, you know, not as shiny as Glossy Accents, but it also has that nice shimmer in it, which is quite nice. And there we go. And I will fill that in. I love this wood slice. Isn't it pretty? I think it makes a great wedding card too. Obviously, I went cutesy, but you don't have to go cutesy. And there we go. And now I have the same card mat die cut out of the Paper Tray Ink white cardstock again. And now I've pulled out the tree scene stamp set. And I'm using the little deer, and I'm stamping in the lightest color of ink from Altenew. That's the blush. And then I'll take the male deer with the rack, and I will add a couple of those. And what I'm doing, I'm making like a random stamped background with deer all over it. And the nice thing is these are silhouette stamps, so it kind of lends itself to this. Now I'm taking out the second color, that's rouge from Altenew, doing the exact same thing. There we go. So just really fast and easy stuff. Then I will take out crimson. There we go. And I will add it in the darker color. And you'll see kind of what I'm going for here, right? Kind of like an all-over stamped background. And then the last but not least, I'm pulling out velvet and randomly stamping those, just using an acrylic block. And I've got a foam pad underneath just to make sure I get good contact. And there we go. And Jaded Blossom stamps always stamp really well. There we go. Just making sure I have a nice little background for what I've got going on here. And, you know, fun stuff. Everybody's got some adorable projects, so make sure you hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog and check out theirs. Now I'm pulling out the black Cat Brewery, and I'm doing the exact same thing, but with the cats. So all over stamps using the exact same colors. And there we go. And now I've got the little sentiment, that Forever Yours, cut out with the heart layer dies. I'm using heart layer dies from both of them, and I'm taking the darkest color and I'm applying it to that white cardstock, so that will be my frame. I'll put it off to the side to dry. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm using the Internal Scallop dies, and I'm also using the stitch circle dies. And the stitch circle die that I used is a 2-inch one, and then I used the 2-inch frame for that. And I'm just applying that same velvet ink from Altenew, just to make it the same dark color so it matches what I've got going on. And now I will put the backgrounds onto these cards using my ATG tape. There we go. And I'll do the same thing with my cat background. There we go. So these were really 2 simple cards. I've made them before with balloons. Any silhouette stamp you could do this with. It works really great for this kind of thing. There we go. And now I'm going to put together my little sentiments using my art glitter glue there. And I'm just going to stack them up using my EK Success tweezers. And I'll do the same thing to this little deer sentiment. The sentiments are obviously from that new set, Wild About You, from Jaded Blossom. And I will pop them up with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals on my background. There we go. And I'll stamp this one. And this one says Dear to My Heart. And I pulled out my fancy heart dies. You know, this is my favorite. I cut it out with that same Sweet Blush cardstock from Paper Trank. And then I'm going to be using those hearts as an embellishment. I've done this in the past. That's kind of one of my favorite tricks. And I'm pulling out my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals again. I believe these are the mini-sized ones. And, you know, I'll add them like a visual triangle, you know, like I normally do. And I'm using my Studio Katia embellishment wand sometimes to pick them up, sometimes my fingers, depending on what's going on. There we go, just making sure there's no little slivers of unwanted paper hanging on. There we go. And I'll do the same thing to my cat background, adding 3 little hearts. There we go. Anyways, I cannot wait to get my hands on this release. So if you have the Octagon dies, if you started collecting them, you want these new animals. They are so cute. You could just build a million types of animals with them. And like I said, there'll be ideas over on the Jaded Blossom blog from the design team, which rocked as always. They always have great ideas. There we go. And now I'm pulling out little things from Lucy's cards. These are pearls in the glossy berry mix, and they actually match really well. They've kind of got like an iridescent shine to them, and it kind of matches that velvet, you know, and the reflection almost gives you the crimson color. It's very pretty. So I'm adding a few of those just to add a little bit of glitter, and I'll do the same thing on this Dear to My Heart card. And I'm using my art glitter glue again, and you see my Studio Katia embellishment wand just to, you know, get them all in place. There we go. And how pretty is that? Adding my last little touches of glitter. So these are easy cards to make. They're relatively flat. And now I'm going to add a little bit of embellishment to these. Now you'll notice that I've got the shine on the actual monocle string. And I also filled in the glasses with glossy accents off screen. And you'll see that I pulled out my Secure White Jelly Roll pen in a number 10 and added a few highlights to that peanut hat. And there we go. Like, how cute is that? And I'm just adding these little hearts to the background just so I have some embellishment on these cards. So my Mr. Peanut card that says Nuts About You, and then my little wood slice card that says Would You Be Mine? And you know how I love to add glasses to, you know, inanimate objects. And yes, the little glasses for the animals, I was all over Jaded Blossom telling them to make glasses for those animals. You know, I love my glasses on my animals. I can't explain it. Now I am pulling out my Pretty Pink Posh Sparkling Clear Confetti, and I'll be adding those just to give a little bit of shine to this set, these two. And I'm using that Studio Katia embellishment one again, you know, visual triangle. I'm using my glossy accents, though, to add these. When I'm adding clear sequins, I kind of like to stick them out down with glossy accents, just because it's shiny, and then usually the items that I'm adding are shiny, so it's not so obvious. And there we go. So I'll just add those and have them all down, and then my card set will be complete. There we go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, the Jaded Blossom store. Check out all the design team projects. You will not be sorry. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon in my next video. Bye, everyone.